If there's one thing that Taylor Swift is good at, it's making people feel nostalgic. So on the way home from helping my mom get some more stuff like ready to get moved out, basically we just cleaned the refrigerator today because the power was out and all that stuff. But anyway, so that's why I look a mess because I've been moving stuff. But on the way home, I was listening to Taylor Swift, and I kept thinking about my first novel that I ever wrote. I'd started it in 2003. I was in eighth grade. So that first book I started in 2003, and I actually wound up publishing it on Amazon when I found out that you could do that in March of 2013. Now, anyone that was around with the whole Kindle thing or in 2013, it was extremely easy to basically just plop something on there. Didn't even have to be edited, didn't even have to have a great cover, and there would be readers. There would be readers who would consume it. And now when you look at those same authors who were around in 2013 and they stuck it out and they learned their craft and they started getting professional editors and professional covers, those are the authors now that are making $100,000 to $1 million a year. There are those self-published authors. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I had just stuck with it, I could have been a millionaire by now. But my perfectionism got in the way because the more I wrote, the more I realized that my writing was not the best that it could be. And eventually in 2015, after 2 years of publishing multiple starts of multiple stories and multiple genres, I pulled everything. Because I knew that I was not doing what was best for my readers. And at that point, it was interesting because I actually had what you would call super fans. These were people who would find wherever you were, like your personal accounts on social media, and they would send you these really long messages about how great your book was. I've not had that happen since then. But in 2013, I guess people were just so excited about ebooks and they were hungry. And so I did get like 3 super fans. Some were even teens, which was really cool because I was writing for teens. So when I started writing this book seriously, I think I was like 19. And then when I got it published, I published it in 2013. So that would have meant that I had just turned 23. I published this book like 3 days after my 23rd birthday. So I was still very young, and my writing was still not where it needed to be. However, my storytelling, I feel like, has always been very, very good, just because I consume a lot of media. So it's natural that just by consuming a lot of media and reading a lot of books, you will become a good storyteller, even if you're not good at executing those stories in a way that people will enjoy as far as your actual word choices and sentence flow. That brings me to what I'm about to say. So I have this book, the first book that I ever published in 2013. It was 145,000 words, and that was book 1 in a series of what I plan to be 4 books. So if a lot of times now, it is very decent for a self-published author who is writing contemporary romance to have novels that are around 50,000 words. What that means is that my first book that I wound up publishing was about 3 times the length that it had to be, meaning that now, if I went back and I rewrote it and, I added some needed chapters because I did have some time jumps and time gaps in this story, that I could get 3 novels out of this one book. Like 3 decent 300-page books out of this one book and still have more story to tell. So basically, I could get a book out of each month in these characters' lives. What I did was my main character, mistake number 1, I named after myself. Her first name was Heather. So mistake number 1 as a new author: never name a character after yourself. 2 things are going to happen. Some readers are going to see it as really pretentious that you named a character after yourself, and it's one of those newbie things. Like if you look back on stuff that you wrote stories whenever you were like in middle school, you probably named the characters after yourself. It's just like a telltale sign that you're new. And it kind of turns your books into looking like wish fulfillment. Like this was how you wish your life was. And so you wrote the story and put yourself in as the main character. And frankly, there were a lot of similarities between me and this first character, but there was also a lot that was completely different. But it was very unrealistic as well. Which, I've been reading some sweet romances lately, and there are some unrealistic elements, such as like all the love interests happen to have these great houses, um, or they're like rich and they're like super talented in multiple ways. And I'm like, yeah, and the female protagonist is gorgeous and super sweet. And like, that's not really realistic. Um, like you want to have flawed characters and you can't have them all be like Adonises, which in my book, I basically had them. They were all super hot guys, like with zero flaws whatsoever. And she's living with the quarterback and they fall for each other. And now they've got to be careful because if the parents find out that they're dating, then she won't be able to live there temporarily. And they'll have to find somewhere else for her to go because her mom is taking care of her dying granddad and didn't want to see her there to see all of that. So basically, this family that she's living with is her godparents, but she hasn't seen them since she was like 4, and she doesn't even remember that time. She has the memories, but she kind of thinks of them as dreams rather than actual memories. So a lot of that time is just kind of like buried in her subconscious. And there are certain things that happen in like the second book where you start to see, oh gosh, these memories are actually real. Um, but anyway, um, so yeah, basically, I think that the story is still there because I am like a clinical perfectionist, and I do have OCD. it's it's hard for me to kind of stick with something if I let it sit for a long time. So because the story wasn't good enough, um, I had unpublished it in 2015. And then I think probably in 2017, I attempted to do a rewrite. At that time, social justice was becoming a big thing, and people were advocating for lots of different changes to be had. And so when I wrote my character, who I changed the name to Valerie, Valerie became very almost pretentious in the way that she was like a social justice warrior. And it just came very like soapboxy. Like I don't like it. I don't want to read that story. I don't want to write that story. Um, and then I had character changes for my main character. So one of the things that I feel like readers loved about it was that he was a quarterback, like he was super high. And then you've got this new girl coming from Vegas, now going to be in South Carolina in like a podunk city with cows on the street, um, and living with a quarterback. Like, what teenage girl doesn't dream of like dating the quarterback and becoming super popular? Which is totally what happens in this story. Even though the group is actually really reclusive. So there's like 5 of them. There's a girl and a guy that are dating, and the guy has a twin who is super popular, and both of them are on the football team as well. Plus the twin plays basketball. And then you had the love interest main character for my main character girl, who was a football player, and also the other girl was a cheerleader, and this girl did flag corps, which is what I did. So I have a lot of experience with that sport. But anyway, yeah. So uh, I at one point wanted to change it, and I was like, okay, I let it sit for so long, and I was doing research on Asperger's, and I was like, oh, what if Mitch, the love interest, had Asperger's? I was like, that could be really sweet. And that could also cause some conflict within the house because a lot of people that have Asperger's do not like change. And also, my character does not like to not have control of situations. So they're both kind of like very angry about the situation. So she's angry that she had no say in it, and he's angry that she's there invading his space. And it's one of those things where his dad is like a very macho dude. And so he had a brother who also had was also on the autism spectrum, but he was on the lower end of autism spectrum, like where you can't really be left alone because you'd be a danger to yourself. And one day he left his brother alone, and there was a tractor accident, and he got crushed by the tractor and he died. So that's why the dad is so resistant to even let his son get a diagnosis, despite the fact that his wife is a psychologist and can diagnose him with Asperger's, which now is no longer recognized as an official diagnosis. Um, but people that do have Asperger's love, for the most part, to like call themselves Aspies. It's like a community, like the deaf community. Like there's nothing shameful about it. It's like, hey, this is my club. These are people that understand me. I like labels. Um, I've even done like the pre-screening that they do for Asperger's, and I definitely do fall on the end where it's like, okay, you could get further analysis because you have a lot of these tendencies. So that might have been one of the reasons why I've always been so drawn to researching those things, even though I don't have a lot of those things either. It took a therapist pointing out some stuff where I was like, everyone doesn't do that. But anyway, so basically what I'm trying to say is that this story has morphed like 3 different times. And I think that it all comes back to that one thing, which is my perfectionist and thinking that the original story wasn't good enough. However, after reading a lot of these sweet romances and seeing how they do kind of mix in that whole wish fulfillment thing, like giving you an almost unrealistic story with like these perfect matched couples, but at the same time they do include some depth in there and they do have some conflict. But it's in the end, it's a very simple story, more so about the characters overcoming their character flaws in order to have a relationship rather than having all of these external um, conflicts that are happening between the characters. So that made me think, well, you know what? I really don't think that this would be that bad to rewrite, even though it would definitely be a complete rewrite because we're talking about something that I wrote in 2013. Well, no, I published in 2013, which means I wrote it in like 2011 and 2012. I actually remember writing 70,000 words of this, 70,000 words of this, like the month before I published it. So someone had noticed a hole because originally it was 70,000 words. I published it, and then someone noticed that there was like a big time jump that I didn't note. So I was just like, no one's going to notice this. So then I went and I filled in a whole bunch of other chapters, which might have been 70,000 words. Anyway, I'm dragging on. But yeah, so when this book was out, even though it was only out for a short amount of time, it got a lot of reads. I utilized my freebie days every time that I could, every 3 months that I could. And back then freebie days were very effective. So I would get like 800 downloads in one day. And also because there wasn't a lot of saturation, um, people would actually read the books when they downloaded. It didn't even have to have like a wonderful cover. Mine cover that I had was definitely pretty, but it's something that like my sister did on Canva or something. I'm going to show you what my original first cover for my book was. It was just a flower, there's snow falling, and it just says summers and winters, which are the characters' last names. And it also has to do with the seasons that the character is there, because I like to have that whole like double entendre meanings and stuff. So yeah, I was like, all right. But so a lot of people downloaded it. There was like over 4,000 downloads for sure. And a lot of people read it. And I know that because also highlighting became a thing at one point, and you could highlight certain things in your book. And so whenever you did that, it could tell you about popular highlights. So for instance, I'm going to pull up my about little section for this book, the about the book section. So it says it's 504 pages, 13 hours and 40 minutes to read, which for me, it would take me a lot longer than that to read. 500 pages is a lot. That is like 504 pages is like obsidian right here. That's a lot. And we're talking about a contemporary book. I'm curious how many pages this is. Okay, so this is 612. So it has a bit more. So 500 is like, this is 500 pages. That's a lot of pages for a contemporary. Anyway, yeah, so I'd had a lot of reads, and I know that people actually read it because 2 of the passages in the book had been highlighted 230 times. So I wrote something that people really loved. One of them was like this big long monologue that the character gives, basically confessing his love and why he didn't do it sooner. And then the other one is that Corinthians passage about what love is from the Bible. Another thing is that this book did include like Christian characters, and you got to see lots of references to that. And back then, like different religions and books and stuff like that weren't like a no-go thing. Whereas now, if you're like, hey, it's a Christian book, people are going to assume that it's like preachy. But this book was definitely not that. It just happened to be a part of the characters' lives that was very important to them. So what else did I want to tell you that was on the settings? Yeah, so there was also, I have a lot of, so I'll read you what my blurb was. I didn't really know how to do blurbs either at the time, so I just kind of wrote what it was about. And I said, waking up to find your grandpa is dying and you'll be moving from Vegas to some rinky-dink town in South Carolina is not what usually happens during summer break. But for Heather Winters, it's about to become her reality. What will happen when she finds herself living in a house full of strangers, one of them being the hot quarterback of Homestead High? Heather and Mitch share what seems to be an instant connection, but can they keep the fire alive with Mitch's parents growing suspicious of their relationship? If his parents ever find out just how close they are, Heather may have to find new living arrangements. Find out just how hot summer can be in this debut novel by Heather Dowell. And then I have readers say, and these are true, like these are real reviews that people left, and there was multiple of them, and you can still see them on Goodreads if you think I'm lying. There's also like 2 1-star reviews that are completely valid, and the reason why I wound up unpublishing the books, because I'm like, oh, I didn't trick anyone. These readers are smart, and they saw through what I did. This person says, I'm speechless. It was the best novel I've ever read. I couldn't put it down. This was a fun read full of romance, teen angst, and a ton of laughs. The supporting cast, along with all the antics that go on, will keep you up well past 3 a.m. Emotional turmoil and angst. It's like a movie playing out in your head. So like those were my reviews. So if I had just stuck to listening to all of the positive reviews and 5 stars that I was getting, I could totally be a millionaire author. But like I said, a lot of the authors that are still in the game wound up finding a way to up their game. Like they got editors and stuff. This book was never edited professionally. It had 16 beta readers. And I didn't vet the beta readers. So, you know, I highly appreciated their help, of course. But it's not like all of them had the background to serve as an editor, and I was kind of using them as editors. So that's not really the best thing to do. So anyway, now what my plan is this has 43 chapters in it. No, 47 chapters in it. So I just want to read you a little bit, probably chapter 1. I don't know how long it is. If it's not too long, doesn't take too many minutes, and I don't run out of breath, I might read you more than chapter 1. But basically, based off of what I read you today, I would just love for you to tell me in the comments if you think this is worth my time to invest in and rewrite. Because I think it could be really cool. One of the things that's very advised by those super successful indie authors is that you have like a staple series that can keep going for a long period of time that can really hook your readers. And so that means a minimum of 5 books, but preferably, you know, like 8 or more. Um, and this one, like I said, would have like 12 books already planned sort of in my head. So, and because there are so many different characters that you follow, it would not get stale. But anyway, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and read chapter one. Bear in mind, this was my writing from 2012. So we're talking like 8 years ago. So please don't let this be your judgment on what my current writing is. Please still go get my books. They're not like this. Okay, here we go. Chapter one, bad news. The early morning light shines through my apartment window as I wake up. I'm tempted to roll back over and hide myself in the bundle of sheets on top of me, but I know better. Sleeping late into the morning in a place like Las Vegas is never a good idea. Even with the air conditioning and solar curtains, it's likely I'll wake up dripping with sweat. I rip the sheets back and get out of bed. My feet hit the carpet, and I walk slowly over to my computer to check my email. It's the middle of summer, and my best friend Cassie always has a plan, even this early in the morning. Sure enough, there's an email from her. Good morning, Heather. Pick out something extra cute to wear and call me ASAP. I wonder what she has planned this time. I'm guessing it has something to do with meeting cute boys. There's only 1 month left of summer, and it has been a while since I've had a boyfriend, and I miss that. I'm a bit disappointed that I have yet to find anyone with potential. Brent was my last boyfriend, and now he's just my best friend. Just probably isn't the right word. When I describe our relationship in my head, I always think of Joey and Dawson from Dawson's Creek. Except now we really are just friends. There's no crazy drama between the two of us. Brent knows everything about me. He's been with me through my highs and lows. And trust me, there have been plenty of lows. He's one of the few people that I can trust with anything. I know he'll never let me down, and he'll always have my back. I rifle through my closet and pull out my new tank top from Forever 21. When I tried it on at the store, I had to have it. Its smooth texture made me not want to take it off, and I was surprised by how well it fit. Fitted tanks with built-in bras hardly ever work with my body type. I may be relatively thin, but I'm a giant compared to most girls. At 5'10" and 145 pounds, finding clothes that fit just right can be difficult. Shirts are usually too short or too big, shorts are always too short, and size 12 jeans are usually the first thing to depart from a sales rack. I thought size 1s were the most common because I always see a ton of them in stores, but apparently I don't understand retail. I grab my favorite pair of worn out jeans with holes in the knees and sit on the bed to put them on. I've always done it this way, sticking my hips into the air and sliding my jeans over my rump. Maybe I had a fear of falling forward and onto my face when I was younger, and that fear caused me to do it this way. I guess it'll always be a mystery, but I like doing things differently. It makes me feel unique. I stand up and walk over to the mirror. The red in the tank top really brings out my brunette hair and chestnut eyes. My hair is slightly disheveled, but it's nothing a quick brush through can't fix. I was gifted and cursed with naturally straight hair. It can look so plain at times. Don't get me wrong, I love not having to tame it, but sometimes I just want curls or volume or something a little less dull. My face is oval shaped, so at least I have the advantage of looking good with just about any hairstyle. My skin is blemish free and tanned, lips and tanned, lip and tanned. Oh, got it. The skin is tan. Lips made for lipstick. I can apply it in the dark and it'll look perfect. It's hereditary. My mom and her two sisters have these same perfectly shaped lips. I guess it makes up for the straight hair gene. I believe that women have natural beauty and don't need to wear makeup in order to look or feel beautiful. But it's a force of habit, so I make my way to the bathroom anyway. My bathroom counter looks like a miniature Sephora's with its makeup duos and professional brushes. I guess it's a good thing I don't have to share my little domain. It's just me and my mom, two single girls living on the Vegas Strip. What more could a girl wish for? A dad. I lost mine 4 years ago when his convoy was attacked overseas. The day I got the news that he was gone forever was the worst day of my life. I was 12. No 12-year-old should ever have to lose a parent. At least I still have my mom. It was really hard at first, being without my dad, but we made it. My mom was strong and persevered. I wasn't nearly as strong as she was, but she was strong enough for the both of us, and I really admire her for that. I can't imagine how hard it must have been to have lost a husband and still have to raise me. She had already lost her mother to cancer, and though that had happened before I was even born, I'm sure the sting was still there. Mom says Grandpa couldn't stay in the house where he was reminded of so much pain, so when Aunt Karen offered to sell him her old house in Washington, he jumped on the opportunity and left behind his home in South Carolina. I hope I never have to lose a spouse. I hope we die at the same time, together. I'm not strong enough to love and let go. I'd never be able to move on. There are still moments when I get overly emotional about my dad's death. It can really scare people. I lose all control, sometimes not even aware of what I'm doing. My mom calls them episodes. I wonder what it'd be like to watch myself have one. A soap opera with overly dramatic crying bouts? Or worse, a patient at an insane asylum being restrained so that doctors can inject them with a tranquilizer. I hope I fall into the first category. I finished clipping my rainbow colored hair extensions into place before venturing out into the living room, which is connected to the kitchen. Everything is very open aside from the two bathrooms, and of course, the two bedrooms, and of course, the bathrooms. My stomach growls, prompting me to scan the kitchen counter in search of anything I can chow down on. Much to my dismay, there isn't. I was really hoping for some cinnamon rolls. Too bad. I resort to a bowl of Captain Crunch and take a seat on the bar stool by the island. Next thing I know, my mom's coming out of her bedroom with our portable phone in her hand. I wonder who she's talking to this early in the morning. Adult life can't possibly be that interesting. It looks like she's up already. I guess I can't delay the news, my mom says to the person she's on the phone with. What news? I say under my breath. My mom just waves me off and goes to sit on the couch. Okay, so now I'm a little worried. What could she possibly be hiding from me? And why would she want to wait to tell me about it? Thanks, Christy. You don't know how much it means to me that you're willing to do this, she says softly to Christy. She must think I can't hear her, but I'm not deaf, and I'm double worried because this news not only involves me, but it also involves my mom's best friend, Christy. Yes, it'll be 5:30 p.m. your time. Endless thanks, really. She finally hangs up the phone and I start blurting out all of the questions I can think of. What are you keeping from me? What does Christy have to do with it? What are you thanking her for? And what's going on at 5:30 p.m.? I plop down on the couch beside her and cross my arms, waiting for an honest answer to my questions. My mother sighs and puts the phone on the charger next to her. Honey, your grandfather's sick, and there's about to be a few changes around here. She is slow to speak, carefully considering every word. I press my lips together, thinking as I watch her twiddle her thumbs and avoid eye contact. This is bad, really bad. My grandpa's sick? I picture him wearing his old train conductor hat and wondering what has become of my happy-go-lucky grandpa. Does he have the cold? Or is it something more? My stomach muscles tighten. Better yet, what changes is my mother referring to? Mom, what changes? You're starting to worry me a little here. I lean my back up against the arm of the couch and spread my legs out and attempt to prepare myself for the impending doom. Big changes. I need you to understand that I've thought about this a lot, and I think I've come up with the best solution. She sounds firm and confident, but her body language tells me she's not so sure, or she wouldn't be so worried about telling me. Best solution? I don't even know what the problem is. I can sense I'm being a little dramatic, but I'm 16. What does she expect? Your grandfather is sick, she says, finally making eye contact. I sit up a little and let out a huff. Why is she restating the facts? She must be hiding something big. I'm triple worried now. Yes, you stated that earlier, but he's 76. What kind of illness does he have? Alzheimer's? As a matter of fact, he does. She turns her head away from me, and I know that she does not want to continue with the subject, but I'm not the kind of person to leave a conversation open-ended. Okay, but I don't see what that has to do with us. He lives in Washington. We can't do anything for him here. It's not that I'm trying to be insensitive, it just comes out that way. You're right, and that's why I'm going to Washington, to look after him. Okay, so we're going to Washington to visit. I let out a sigh before biting the side of my lip. It's not really what I had planned on doing my last few weeks of freedom, but I'll live. Will it be for the rest of summer? I really hope that it won't be. It'll be however long it takes. Okay, longer. Definitely not on the agenda. I love my grandpa, but I can't start school late. I'll be so far behind that I won't be able to go out and have any fun. It's just not a viable option. When you said you were going, did you mean just you or the both of us? I don't mind going for a while. It would be nice to see good old Pops. I just don't want to stay forever. I have plans here. It'll just be me. I leaned forward, perking up ears and raising my eyebrows. Did I hear her correctly? If she's going alone, that means I get to stay here with my friends. My lips curl into a wide grin as that overwhelming sense of excitement arises. You're serious? You're going to let me hang out in Vegas until you get back? I kicked my feet over the side of the couch and sit all the way up. This is great news. I mean, not about my grandpa, but a summer without supervision. Awesome! The thought is crazy, but hey, she is right about one thing. I do not want to stay in Washington. Sickness and death are two things I am not good with. No, I'm not going to let you stay here while I'm in Washington. What kind of parent do you think I am? Her tone strikes me as a little cold, and I begin to feel sick to my stomach. My mom is like my best friend, so when she talks down to me, it kind of hurts. Well, if I'm not staying and I'm not going, then what am I doing? I'm starting to think that this is all some sort of elaborate hoax. None of this makes any sense. You'll be moving to South Carolina to live with Christy and Joe. I jump onto my feet. What? South Carolina? I shake my head back and forth to rid the thoughts as she walks over to the sink and starts washing out my bowl. A failed attempt at avoiding the conversation, which is frankly just beginning on my end. You can't be serious. This has to be some big joke, right? Like, since when does Alzheimer's require a move? It can't be that serious. I'm pacing back and forth at this point, trying to put all the pieces together. South Carolina? I whip my head around the room, trying to find the hidden cameras. This cannot be real. It's not just Alzheimer's, Heather. He has a brain tumor too. And the operation to remove it at his age would likely result in death. The doctors are giving him 6 months to live. No cameras. I breathe heavily, beginning to understand how a claustrophobic person feels in an elevator. I take a moment to regain control. It all makes sense now, and I understand why she does not want to talk about it. She doesn't want to think about her dad dying. I want to comfort her, but there are still so many unanswered questions. Why do I have to move to South Carolina? She's crazy if she thinks I'm going anywhere, not without a fight at least. I try to sway her by showing my maturity. This would explain a move. I understand you want to be with him and I want to stay here. So it's settled. I'll move in with Cassie while you're gone. I nod my head rapidly, like the simple motion will be enough to sway her. It's a much better solution than what she's suggesting. Me living in South Carolina? Crazy. No, you will be staying with Christy and Joe, she says firmly, hoping for no rebuttal. I cannot give her the satisfaction. I cannot leave my friends. Summer is coming to an end, and if I'm not back by the time school starts, my life will be over. Leave Vegas? No, you can't. You wouldn't. My eyes start to water. This is real, and I don't like it. Not one bit. My grandpa is dying. I'm not going to get to see him at all, and I'm going to be moving to the other side of the country. Literally, you are going to South Carolina, and that's final, my mom says, stacking the dishes. I practically stomp my way over to the island in the kitchen. But, Mom, it's not fair. Why do you have to be the one to take care of him? Why can't Aunt Karen? She does live in Washington, after all. I believe this to be a very valid point, but she just nods her head in frustration. She's done arguing with me. I know she has made up her mind, and it makes me want to throw up. That's not the point. Your grandfather needs me. I can hear the sadness in her voice. I watch her hands tremble as she tries the best to keep it together. She doesn't want to leave me any more than I want to leave her. No more Mom. What about me? I need you. You're all I have left. I slowly begin to sob. She stops doing the dishes and gives me a look of understanding, welcoming me into her arms. Honey, it's going to be okay. She begins to cry. As much as I hate to talk about my father's death, the doctors say it won't be long. I'm just going to stay until he passes, and then I'll come back for you. She soothes my hair in hopes of calming me down. In Vegas? I mumble into her shoulder as if I can change my mother's mind. She wipes away her tears and returns to the dishes. No, in South Carolina. You're not going to change my mind. We've been through this. You leave tomorrow. Tomorrow? How can I possibly leave tomorrow? It's happening. My world is caving in all around me. I storm off to my bedroom. I have to think of a way to get out of this. And don't avoid packing your bags so you'll miss your flight. You know I'm not afraid to drag you there naked. I know that she's serious. I once refused to get ready for school when I was in the third grade, and she wound up dragging me there in my pajamas. Talk about one of the most humiliating days ever. My mother always sees through my devious plans. I can't get away with much. So that's chapter 1. What do you think? Is it worth reviving? I guess I'll read chapter 2, but I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think I should do with this book? Should I do something with it? How bad is it on the scale from 1 to 10? Chapter 2, Last Night of Fun. If this is my last night of fun, I'm not going to let it pass me by. I've lived here for as long as I can remember. I've made friends. I have a life. Knowing that tomorrow I'll have to leave it all behind drives me to sneak out. There's something about this night, the finality of my life as I know it, that gives me confidence, boldness, and a curiosity for what the night may bring. I sneak through the kitchen and out the front door. Life is waiting for me, and so is my best friend Cassie. When I told her the news, she insisted we have a girls' night out, just the two of us. I round the corner, heading toward the elevator. I live on the 53rd floor, and there is no point in taking the stairs. I push the elevator button, and soon the doors open. Cassie? I'm taken by surprise. All of my friends are here in the elevator, Cassie being the ringleader, of course. But then again, that's what best friends are for. I'm almost certain my jaw drops. I've been ambushed. What? She puts her hands on her hips like she can't believe I'm having this reaction before quickly placing one on the closing elevator doors. You didn't think I'd let you sit up here and mope all night, did you? Her eyes go wide, daring me to say something. Well, I knew you wouldn't. I let out a sigh, curving my lips to the side and looking at my friends in the elevator, amazed they can all fit. Hey, everybody. I'm glad you all came, but Cassie didn't tell me about all of this. So, as you can tell, I'm quite surprised. Cassie huffs, looking at her hands that's placed against the elevator door. I'm sure the activity isn't nearly as strenuous as she lets on, but I default and step into the elevator. She lets out a sigh of relief, shaking her arm to relieve the tension before pressing the button for the first floor. She was afraid if she told you you'd back out, afraid to tell us all goodbye, Brent says with a longing look. I can tell he already misses me. Brent is right. I probably would have backed out, not because I don't love my friends, but because I don't want to leave them and have to say goodbye. Goodbye for forever, as far as I know. Mostly, I'm afraid to tell Brent goodbye. He was my first boyfriend, and we do everything together. He even helps me shop. We're always together, like two links on a chain or grapes on a vine. We were young when we first started dating, and we found that we liked being friends better than being a couple. I can't bear to lose him. The thought of it makes me almost burst into tears right in the elevator. But I hold it in. This is supposed to be a good night. The elevator stops on the second floor, where we receive nasty looks from drunken gamblers, mad that we've taken up all the elevator space. Eventually, we exit the elevator and navigate through the crowds of people, playing the slots, hoping they'll get lucky and win $1 million. You know, it's been 4 years since I've been coming here, and I still can't get over the fact that you live on top of a casino. Shelby finds everything amusing. She is one of those girls that will jump up and down if you draw a picture of a tree and give it to her. She is very easy to please and slow to anger. And you can't even play the slots, says Chad. What a waste. That's Chad, all right. Always wanting to act cool. Not that he has to act, he just is. Money is the root of all evil, you know, Shelby says, lifting her chin and placing her hands on her hips. You should never gamble, or you'll wind up like Willie Carpenter. Who's Willie Carpenter? Chad shakes his head, morbidly confused. Exactly, Shelby says, lowering her chin in one swift motion, before walking ahead of us with a wicked grin on her face. We all laugh. I turn to Cassie. So, what's first on your list of marvelous activities for my surprise going away party? She is the party planner of the group, after all. We exit the casino and start walking down the strip. This city, it's where I belong. It's as vibrant and colorful as I am. Oh, I was thinking we could hit the teen club. They have karaoke tonight till 2 a.m. Cassie talks about it like it's the greatest place in the world. Teen club? Chad scrunches his nose, an obvious display of his disappointment. It's not as lame as it sounds, Brent defends. It's 16 to 20, so no dorky tweens will be there. Good, because I don't mess with 12-year-olds. As if we would ever assume that Chad is one of the few guys that can manage to date college freshmen. Of course, he's technically jailbait, but the girls don't seem to mind. This night is supposed to be about Heather, not about picking up chicks, Chad. Shelby scalds as if she were personally offended by his statement. I'm just saying, adds Chad, throwing his hands up in surrender as Shelby gives him the evil eye. Shelby is way too short and sweet to be taken seriously, but her effort is acknowledged. It's okay, I tell Shelby. No one will be able to contain their laughter if she continues to scald Chad. I wrap my arm around Chad so that he can escort me. I know what you meant, I tell him. When it's just me and Chad, we go to real nightclubs or bars, but the others don't know. It's our little secret. When we get to the club, there's a huge line and none of us want to wait. I let out a heavy sigh. I don't want to spend my last nights waiting to get into a club. I try really hard to hold it in and not reveal how upset I am. It's my last night, my last night. Tears fill my eyes as I try to regulate my breathing so that no one will know that I am about to cry. Chad, whose arm is still wrapped around mine, notices and gives me a sweet little smile, kissing me on the cheek. Don't worry, I got this. He comforts as he lets go of my arm and walks past the 100 people in front of us. When he gets back to us, he has a wide grin on his face. I give him a questioning look as he places his hand in his pockets, shrugs, and gives the cutest, what can I say, look that I've ever seen. It's so cute that I actually feel an electric wave run up the back of my spine. What'd you do, Chad? Accuses Brent. Come on, he's letting us in, Chad replies, lifting his chin and willing me to follow him. That doesn't answer my question, Chad, Brent badgers. I gave him some money, no big deal. You want in, don't you? Answers Chad with a you better back off tone. Brent nods with defeat and follows behind Chad. Brent doesn't always agree with the methods Chad uses to get his way. Chad's family is very wealthy. He uses money to get his way when he needs to, but he doesn't act like he's above anyone. He treats money as a resource to make things better, when without it, there would be no other solution. He paid the bouncer because he knows that I won't be as sad once I get into the club. He did it for me, not for himself. Burton recognizes this and lets his judgment go. As soon as we walk through the club doors, we're surrounded by a mob of people and blaring music. I pull Chad to the side and start dancing with him. How much did you pay him? I ask, as much out of curiosity as concern. I don't mind that he did it. I just don't want him blowing all his money on me. Not much, he says, letting me know that it's a larger amount than I would approve of. Chad? I question with raised eyebrows. 100. He shrugs, acting like it's no big deal. 100? Why would you do that? That's an insane amount of money to spend on something that's not tangible. I want you to have fun tonight. You deserve way better than to have to wait outside on your last night. Don't worry, he says, placing a hand on my shoulder. I have a lot more than that at home. Still, it's a lot of money, I chide. Heather, if it was all of the money I had, you'd still be worth it. The music fades into a slow song, and Chad takes me into his arms. I kiss him on the cheek. Thanks, I say, holding him closer than necessary. I'm really going to miss you, Chad. I'm going to miss you too. You and your rainbow highlights. He laughs, trying to lighten the mood. It works. They're clip-on. I can give you some if you want, I tease. I'm going to miss this too. Who am I possibly going to find that can party as hard as you and I do? Not Shelby, that's for sure. I laugh. Shelby is undeniably the good girl of the group. You're so funny. I'm going to miss that crazy laugh of yours. He does a poor imitation of my laugh. Shut up, I demand. Tell you what, I'm going to go sign up for karaoke. You want me to put you down for anything? Sure, put me down for Skyscraper by Demi Lovato. Challenging. Going for that prize money, are you not? He says with smoldering eyes like Thomas Decker's. You bet. I taunt, doing a small hair flip. All right, I'll be right back. He breaks our embrace. What are you going to sing? His performances are always fun to watch. He's such a crowd pleaser. If I told you, it wouldn't be a surprise. He grins widely. He loves to watch me squirm as I try to guess. You infuriate me. Tell me, and tell me, I plead. Nope, he says, crossing his arms as if he is thinking, neener, neener, neener. Whatever, I say, waving him off. He leaves as I go over to the table where Cassie and Shelby are sitting. Hey, girl, where have you been? Cassie says, crossing her arms. With Chad, I mutter, still mad that he didn't tell me what he was going to sing. Ooh, trying to get the last minute hookup in, accuses Shelby. Shelby! I'm shocked. She normally doesn't talk like this. Kidding, she says innocently. She must be. We know you'd hook up with Brent before you would Chad, laughs Cassie. Our definition of hooking up just means kissing excessively. You two are horrible. I'm not hooking up with anyone. I cannot deny that I do, in fact, find them both very attractive. Brent is about 5'10 with bronze colored skin, thick black hair, and dark eyes reflecting his Native American descent. Chad is relatively tall with blonde hair, blue eyes, and the body of a cross country runner. Okay, I was just suggesting. There's no need to get defensive, amends Cassie. Even enough of this. Let's dance, suggests Shelby, as Blow by Kesha starts to play. We go to the middle of the dance floor and dance with each other. My sequin tank top lights up as the strobe lights hit it, paired with my black denim skirt and my stiletto heels. I'm feeling pretty sexy. Cassie is so cosmic that all of the guys crowd around her, begging for her attention. But she ignores them. Cassie appears to be the long lost twin of Selena Gomez. People often stop her and ask for her autograph. She's about 5'5" with a lean body and Peruvian tan skin. Her wavy dark brown hair flows down to her elbows and brings out her honey brown eyes that she accentuates with dark eyeliner and fake eyelashes. In the distance, I see Chad and Brent staring at me. I wave. Chad laughs and waves back. Brent gets up and leaves the table. This is as hard on him as it is on me. A few minutes later, a contest begins. The contest begins, and Chad is the first one up to the mic. What's up, Las Vegas? He yells into the mic. Everyone screams back as I'm Sexy and I Know It starts to play. He would pick that song, wouldn't he? Cassie and Shelby just laugh. I have an idea, I say, leaning in to whisper, not that anyone will be able to hear what I say. I think we can help him win. What's the plan? I am so in, Shelby says giddily. Let's go dance on him. You've got to be kidding me, Cassie says, biting her lip, trying to hide the fact that this idea entices her. Come on, Cass, it'll be fun. Besides, you're the brave one, not me. Fine. Okay, so here's the plan. Cassie, you enter stage left. I'll enter stage right. And Shelby, do you think you can do one of your gymnastics moves onto the center stage? I have a full confidence that she'll be able to. I can do that. I'll just need a couple of guys to give me a boost, she says, scanning the crowd, looking for a worthy subject. Cool, I'll meet you both on stage. Let's go. The song won't last forever. Cassie and I run up on the stage, surprising Chad as a few guys lift Shelby off the floor. She does a backflip onto the stage and joins Cassie and I. We circle around Chad, touching his chest, stomach, and arms. Then we dip down low and I come back up and whisper in Chad's ear, jump into the crowd. They love it. They'll love it. Ugh. Jump into the crowd. They love it. They'll catch you. You too, Chad says, momentarily breathless, taking my hand and going to the edge of the stage. Cassie and Shelby follow suit. Jump, I yell. We all jump off the stage and into the crowd. When I jump, I twist my body so the crowd will catch me face up. We're all crowd surfing as Chad continues to sing, and I can't believe that all of this is happening. Woo! I yell at the top of my lungs. It's exciting and I can't hold it in. Others start jumping off the stage and everyone is held up by the crowd. We've started a crowd surfing movement and it's great. Then I remember that this will be the last time I'll be able to do this with my friends. When the crowd lets me down, I run to the roof. I sit on the ledge and try to stargaze, but it's useless. You can't see stars in Vegas, not with all the city lights. I look at the buildings instead and let the image sink in. I won't be seeing anything like this for a while. I close my eyes, take a deep breath, and let it out as a hand touches my shoulder. I snap back to life, grab the hand, and whip it around, allowing me to put the person in front of me as I cup their throat and dangle their head over the ledge. I won't kill them, but I'll hold their neck long enough to make them pass out. I may be a girl, but I can defend myself. My dad made sure of that. Can't breathe, yelps the man underneath my gasp. I haven't bothered to look at him yet. His voice is familiar, so I look down now. It's only Brent. I let go of his neck and lift him up to his feet. I'm sorry, you caught me off guard. I turned my attention back to the buildings. I'd hate to see you when you're on guard, he says, cracking his neck. But it's okay. I thought I'd come check on you. You stormed out of there so quickly. He comes up behind me and sits on the ledge. You noticed? I look down at my hands. I notice everything when it comes to you, he says, causing me to blush. You're so sappy, Brent. I give him a smile. Look, he says, putting his hand on top of mine. Even though I no longer have feelings for him, his touch feels nice. I know you must be worried about leaving tomorrow, but you must know you're never really leaving me. Do you know what I mean? I think I do. I give him a hug and begin crying. I'm going to miss you, Brent. I already do. You're my best friend. He leans back just enough to where I can see his face. Tears fill his eyes, too. Heather. He wipes away my tears. I'll always be here for you. It doesn't matter how far you go. I'm always going to love you. He kisses my forehead. I love you too. I look into his eyes, still blinking away my tears, and get the overwhelming urge to kiss him. I need assurance. I need Brent. I kiss him before the moment fades and then bury my head into his chest, allowing him to smooth my hair. You're perfect, I sigh. I try. Will you stay with me tonight? I long for the security of his arms wrapped around me. He always has a way of making me feel better, no matter the situation. If you want me to, but I don't think your mom will let me. She doesn't have to know. Besides, it's not like we'll be doing anything. I look at him with pleading eyes. I don't like lying, Heather. I know, I don't either. It's just that this is my last night. And you're the only one that can make everything feel okay. Nobody loves me or understands me the way you do. And I want to hold on to that for as long as I can. Okay, I'll do it, but just this once. He smiles. There may never be another chance anyway. I was supposed to spend the night with Chad after this anyway, so I don't have to worry about my mom getting worried. I wrap my arms around his neck and give him a peck on the lips. Let's dance. I take his hand and we head back downstairs. I open the door to the club just as the DJ calls out my name. I had forgotten all about signing up for the contest. My nerves set in as I step on stage. The DJ hands me a mic and my song begins. The song I sing is about love, loss, and overcoming it. How ironic is it that I'll be losing everything tomorrow? Silence falls on the crowd as I sing. I command the stage. When I finish, my friends circle around me. OMG, you were fab, exclaims Shelby, handing my drink back to me. You have a beautiful voice, comments Chad. No sarcastic remarks, Chad? Cassie crosses her arms and raises her eyebrows, as if daring him to say something. Chad shrugs. Not today, I guess. That's a first, Brent replies, wrinkling. Wow. Brent replies, wrinkles forming on his forehead. He shakes his head, ridding himself of surprise, and then places his hand on my shoulder. You really were great, though. Thanks. So, who do you think will win? I put my hands on my hips and stand up on my tiptoes before biting my lip and lowering back down. I don't know, Cassie shrugs. Vocally, definitely you, but when it comes to memorable and entertaining, she shifts her lips to the side, strongly considering her next words. I'd have to go with Chad. Either way you look at it, you win. I roll my eyes and shake my head. I feel so awkward when people compliment me. It's hard to know how to react. If you act like you agree, then you come off as cocky, and if you act too humble, then people think you're fake. It's a lose-lose situation. Cassie's right, Chad interjects. If I win, it's because of the three of you. Does that mean you'll share the prize money? Shelby asks hopefully. Whoa, Shelby, becoming a little direct, huh? Accuses Cassie. No, she's right, Chad confirms. If I win, I'll give you each $50, and that'll leave 150 for me. We'll see. I call his bluff. All right, the DJ says. That was the last act. I'll play one more song to give the judges time to make their decision. A song plays as we stand by with anticipation. And the winner is Chad Montgomery was sexy and I know it. The crowd erupts as Chad goes up to the stage and does a sexy move. You're so hot, one of the girls screams. Take it off, another yells. He teases the girls by lifting his shirt just a little. Well, isn't he the ladies' man, says Cassie. I'll say, Shelby says, fanning herself with her hand. Am I sensing a crush? I insinuate. Heavens, no. Maybe? Shelby blushes. Oh, the things I'll miss, I sigh. Aw, Shelby lets out. Group hug. Any words to the audience? Asks the DJ. Thanks for coming out, Chad says, and then points to our little group. I'd like to give it up for my dancers. Everyone claps and shouts. Sadly, though, he says, softening his tone, one of my closest friends will be leaving us tomorrow to go to South Carolina, to go live in South Carolina. The crowd awes. Heather, will you come to the stage? What are you doing? I go up to the stage as he whispers something into the DJ's ear. When I meet up with him, he continues, I'd like to dedicate this song to you on your last night in Vegas. He gives the mic back to the DJ. It's been so long since I've read this, I don't even know what the song is going to be. And takes my hand up, it's what I thought it was, hand into his as She Will Be Loved by Maroon 5 begins to play. You are something else, I say as we dance. I have my moments. He winks. Did Brent talk to you? I ask, hoping he didn't get the wrong impression. Yes, and I'm cool with it. Very surprised, but cool with it. Oh, you know we're not together, right? I don't want him thinking I want to sleep with Brent. I know. If I thought that was your intention, I would have told him no. I laugh. The night is winding down, and we regretfully part ways. Chad does keep his agreement and pays each of us $50. I go into my apartment, checking to see if the coast is clear for Brent to enter. I hope my mom didn't wake up and notice I was gone. If that's the case, I'm dead meat. The apartment is quiet and dark. Her bedroom door is cracked, so I take a peek inside. She is sound asleep. I open the front door and wave Brent in. He tiptoes in like a mouse until he's in my bedroom and the door is closed. We let out the breath we've been holding. Why? That is the biggest cliche in writing ever. Oh my gosh. But at least in this context, it makes sense to hold your breath when you're sneaking into a house. So I can't be that mad that I have it in there, because normally when people have it, it's stupid because there's no reason for them to be holding their breath. Oh, wait, you know what, though? This isn't the cliche, because the cliche is I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. They know that they were holding it. They were intentionally holding it. So, yay, I didn't do the cliche, but it was close. Oh, I get out my pajamas and go into the bathroom in my room to start the shower. I have some gym clothes in the second drawer if you want to change. Thanks, he says, sitting on the bed. I'm tall and I like my workout clothes to be loose, so they should be comfortable in him. I'll be right out. I shut the door as he nods. I take a quick shower and he takes one right after me. I set the alarm for 5 a.m., an hour before my mom will wake up, so that Brent can leave unnoticed. When Brent comes out with my gym shorts on, I giggle. What? He says, spinning around. Do you think they make my butt look big? I can't help but to laugh. No, get in the bed. I point at the alarm clock. You have to leave in less than 3 hours. You have an early flight? He asked with raised eyebrows. Oh yes, it's like a 10-hour flight, so it has to be early. I'm exaggerating about the length of the flight, but I'm sure it's going to feel like forever. Bummer, he says, getting under the covers. I join him. He faces me in the fetal position and looks nervous. Come closer. I want to be close to you, I admit to him. This isn't close enough, he laughs. It's a small bed. You'll fall off if you stay all the way over there. He nods and moves closer to me. I intertwine my legs with his, and we wrap our arms around each other. Much better, I sigh. He closes his eyes and rubs my back. I don't think I'll be getting any sleep tonight, he laughs. Why's that? I question, kissing his nose. Because I'm in bed with you, He stares at me, making me look away. Stop it. It drives me crazy when people stare at me. Not in a bad way, it's just a little weird. We both laugh. I'm really going to miss you, he says, sweeping my hair behind my ear and kissing me on the forehead. I get teary eyed again. Oh, Heather, don't cry. I hate it when you cry, he says, pulling me in closer to him. I can't help it. I don't know when I'll see you again. What am I supposed to do without you? You'll never be without me. He brings his lips to mine and kisses me. We don't normally kiss. We don't like each other that way. Not for some time, at least. I don't question it, though. I need him more than anything. I know we're only kissing because it's the closest we can get to each other, and we want nothing more than to do just that. I kiss him back fully, and the cycle continues until we both fall asleep. When the alarm goes off, I turn it off and whisper to him. It's time for you to go, he nods. You know, I don't want to, he says. He softly grins. I know, I smile. But unless you want to get killed by my mother, you have to leave. Point taken, he says hurriedly, getting out of the bed and putting on his clothes. When he's finished, I walk him to the door and hug him. See you later, he says as I open the door for him to leave. As soon as he's out the door, he turns right back around, grabs my hand, pulls me toward him, and kisses me once more. Love you. Love you too, I say, returning his kiss. Then I close the door, sink to the floor, and cry. Everything I know and love is about to change. That's chapter 2. Again, thoughts, please. um, it's not quite as bad as I thought it was going to be honest. It's really not. But I also remembered that I'd went back over chapter 1 and 2 at one point and kind of spruced it up a little bit. Although there's still a lot of cliches like using adverbs and dialogue tags and not using contractions all the time. So like I still see a lot of flawed writing, but it's not quite as cringy as I thought it would be. I need to definitely take out a couple of the instances where she just cries and just have her be emotional instead. It's very melodramatic, is what I would say. The writing is very melodramatic. 23-year-old me. I'm 30 now. All right. Oh, my back. Okay, I'm going to read chapter 3 because I don't know that this is one that I kind of went over quite a bit. So let's see. The goodbye. All right, your plane leaves in an hour, so stay nearby. It's very easy to get lost in the airport, my mom tells me. I'm not going anywhere, Mom, I say, setting down my carry-on bags. Good, because I can't stay here and make sure you get on the plane. I've got my own plane to catch. Mom, it's okay. I'm going to be fine, I say, taking a seat at the gate. I know you will, honey, she says, sitting down beside me. But you know how mothers are. We're dedicated to making sure our children stay safe. She places her hand on top of mine. I take you with me, but I don't want the last memories of your grandfather to be of his sickness, and I wouldn't have time to really be a mother to you while taking care of him. She caresses my hair. He's going to need all of my time and attention. I know she's right, and that I'm just being selfish. I can't handle death, and my grandpa needs her more than I do. I try to keep it in, but I can't. My mom is my best friend, the only real thing I have left, and now we'll be separated. Who will I confide in? Whose shoulder will I cry on? Who will I get advice from? If I got to stay in Vegas, I'd rely on my friends, but I won't be with them. I begin to feel empty inside, like there's a big pit in my stomach mocking me because it's no longer filled with happiness and joy. Tears slowly run down my cheeks. My mom gently looks down at me with sadness in her eyes. Oh, honey, she says, wrapping her arms around me, pulling me into her and holding me tightly. It's not the end of the world. I'm not going anywhere. I squint. Yes, she is. She's going to Washington and sending me off to South Carolina to live with some people I don't really know. My mom's best friend. Right. What does that mean to me? I don't know them. I know of them. I know the stories my mom has told me growing up. I met Christy once at Dad's funeral, and she stayed with us for a week to make sure we were okay. She seemed nice enough, but I was too absorbed in my sorrow to pay any attention to her, and that was several years ago. I'm scared to leave my mom, scared that I'm going to be stuck in South Carolina until when? My grandpa's death? And then what? Come back to Vegas and hope that nothing has changed, that my friends haven't forgotten me, and that they haven't found someone new to hang out with? Scared. That's exactly what I am. It's going to be okay. You're going to love it up there. And I'm sure you'll be like and I'm sure you'll like Christy and Joe too. And they have a son about your age. I'm sure he can show you around and introduce you to some other teenagers before school starts. School. I haven't even begun to think about school. I'll be the new kid, the loner, or worse, the annoying girl that has to be shown around. How pathetic I'll be. How pathetic I'll be. I fake a smile. Great! I'm sure this will turn out to be one of those adventures I tell my future kids about. I say, gripping my thighs nervously. My mom's not stupid. She knows I'm only saying it to please her. She would say more, but it's time for her to board her plane. She loosens her grip around me and kisses me tenderly on the forehead. Looks like it's time. I love you, honey. We hug one last time, and she turns to leave. I love you too, Mom. We don't say goodbye. Goodbyes are final and not meant to be used lightly. She just smiles and walks away. I watch her round the corner, and the hole in my stomach seems to grow larger. As I buckle up, the feeling of complete loneliness settles in. To me, in this moment, I feel as if I'm an orphan. My dad has passed away, and now my mom's left me alone in this world, away from everyone and everything I know. We've never been apart for more than a few days, at least not since my father's death. My mom is the one I can count on, and now she's gone. Who will I talk to? Who will understand? No one. And the fact alone makes me slump down in my chair, wishing I were somewhere else, wishing I were someone else. Uh, Someone that doesn't always have the people I love ripped away from me. Someone that has happy stories to tell instead of tragedies that leave you speechless because they bring so much pain that there are no words to take the pain away, nothing to mend your broken heart, nothing to change it or make it better. Tragedy, a word I know well, a word that describes my life, a word that describes me. My pondering leads me to a deep slumber, which is interrupted by a little girl with blonde pigtails talking to the flight attendant. How much longer? She asked with an anxious look on her face. Not long at all, sweetie, the flight attendant tells the little girl. Okay, responds the girl. Then the flight attendant walks away and the little girl turns to her mother. I check my watch. 10 minutes until the plane will land. I've been asleep for a few hours, but the stress of leaving everything behind and the long night I had before leaves me drained of all energy. Now, all I have to do is wait for the plane to land so that I can meet my temporary family. I've never met Mitch or Joe before. I've seen pictures of my mom, Christy, and Joe back in high school, and Christy and Joe's wedding pictures, but that's about all I have to go off of. And now I'll be living with them. It's too much to take in, so I deny it in my head. I make myself believe that tomorrow it will all be over and I'll be back in my bed in my apartment. Soon the plane lands, and I'm forced back into reality. All right, let's get this over with. I gather my carry on bags and exit the plane. There she is, I hear a woman's voice say in the distance as I enter the airport. Yes, I do believe so, but calm down, honey, or you'll freak her out, a man responds. Oh, Joe, you do exaggerate. Christy, I've been married to you for 20 years, and trust me, when you're this excited, you tend to freak people out, Joe tells her. Oh, don't be silly. Here she comes. Now act normal for me, will ya? She jokes, punching him in the arm. Two big goofballs. Maybe it won't be so bad after all. Christy and Joe haven't changed much from their high school pictures, and judging by the way they're joking around with each other, their personalities haven't changed much either. As far as I can tell, it seems like they're still stuck in high school. Christy is average height, about 5'3", with the body of an aerobic instructor. With an instructor. She has long sandy blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. She's wearing dark blue jeans, a silk tank top, a black button-up blazer, and a pearl and silver necklace. She looks like either a model or a 36-year-old cheerleader for the Houston Cowboys. Her husband, on the other hand, has the body of a linebacker, broad shoulders, well-built, and about 6'3". You'd think they'd look odd together with the height difference, but they don't. You can tell they're still in love, even after their 20 years of marriage. His round face and balding head says it all. Even with the balding, Christy looks at him with sparks in her eyes, and he can't take his big blue eyes off of her. I know now that, like my mom had said, everything is going to be all right. I also know that I don't have a clue about what will happen next. With that thought, I take the first step of my new life with great enthusiasm and introduce myself. Hi, I'm Heather. I introduced myself, offering my hand. And I'm Joe, and this is my wife, Christy, he points. She knows who I am, she says, hugging me. It's been far too long since I last saw you. We're so glad you're coming to stay with us, she says giddily. What she means is that we know it's going to be a little hard adjusting to a new place, but we'll be with you every step of the way, so don't worry about a thing. Christy just turns to him and laughs while shaking her head. What she means is, she says, trying to keep a straight face, what she says. The look on Christy's face makes me laugh, and I almost forget what has brought me to this moment. The sickness of my grandpa, the death of my father, the pain that I felt when faced with goodbyes. However, in this moment, I realize something. I don't need to think of the things that have happened in the past or that are going to happen. I need to think about all of the happy things in life, like meeting new people and sharing laughs. I've had enough with tragedy, and now I'm determined to leave all of the pain and sadness back in Vegas and make South Carolina the place where I will find happiness, a place where I can be the one with the perfect life, although my life is far from it, and find a happiness that I've been searching for. South Carolina is a place of new beginnings and my new life. Well, now that the introductions are over, Joe says, already starting to walk away, let's go get your things. So that's chapter 3. One of you is still watching, so I'm going to keep going until I get to where you meet the love interest. So, chapter 4, Home Sweet Home. The ride home is long. It's good though, because I get a chance to relax. Christy and Joe have stopped talking, so I concentrate on the soft whisper of the wind across my cheeks. The smell of the air is so fragrant. Fresh pine and the smell of rain surround me. Sitting here in the car is like meditating. I like that Christy and Joe have stopped talking so that I can enjoy this. After we get off the highway surrounded by trees and nature, in which I have never really experienced before, we drive through streets with houses. At first, the houses are miles apart, then the houses get closer and closer together until they practically touch. Almost there, Christy announces, looking back at me from the passenger seat. Our house is just around the corner. Part of me wants to stay in the car, but the other part is dying to get out and explore this newfound land. Soon, we pull up into the driveway of a 2-story blue house with white shutters. It has a porch swing and a wraparound balcony on the second floor. It looks like a bed and breakfast. It has a welcoming look to it, so I gather my things and go inside. Your room is upstairs and to the right, directs Joe, pointing to the stairs. You'll be right next to Mitch's room. If you need anything, he'll be happy to help, Christy adds. I acknowledge her with a smile and make my way up the stairs. It's strange going upstairs. I'm so used to taking an elevator. My mother always told me it was safer to take the elevator in Vegas. No one uses the stairs unless they're dealing drugs or doing the adult version of hooking up. The silence of the house is also unusual to me. It isn't creepy, just different and unfamiliar. I make my way to my room and open the door. There is a queen-size bed laden with purple silk sheets and a black comforter. My mom must have told them I love purple. On the nightstand beside the bed, there's a photo frame with a picture of my mom when she was a teenager. Another frame holds a picture of her and my dad holding me in the hospital when I was born. There's yet another frame, but this one holds no picture. Instead, it has a sticky note that reads, "For a new memory. Sorry I couldn't meet you at the airport. I had a scrimmage. Mitch." These people obviously care about me. I really don't have a clue what to expect, but I'm glad my mom has sent me to live with these people. I know she's right about not letting me go with her, but I'm not going to admit it to her. I love my grandpa very much, but to see him in his current state would be all too devastating. It's so hard for me to accept that I can't control everything. I can't make people well, and I can't bring them back to life. She knew that if I were to go with her, I'd try everything to cure him, and when his inevitable death would come, I'd have an even harder time letting go. I placed the sticky note in a waste bin across the corner of the room. Behind it looks to be a small door. I can't help myself. I have to see what's behind it. I unlatch it and see another waste bin. I move it to see what's in front of it. It's another room. I scan the perimeter. No one's in sight, so I let curiosity take control as I crawl through the door. This room has a blue bed with a Panthers football afghan draped across it. On the nightstand are a signed football and a photo of a guy in a football uniform, including the helmet. Even though I can't see the person's face, I can tell he's good looking. His body is tan and broad, but not too broad. He's big enough to win a fight, but not so big that he'd scare you. He has the body of a guy that would be able to protect you, but would never hurt you. I sense movement outside the door. I turn my attention to the doorknob. It's turning. Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. I quietly but quickly make my way to the secret door and bend down to go through it. Ah! The mysterious man screams. Too late. I scream back in shock. He smiles at me, and I can't help but laugh. He mocks my scream. I didn't really scare you, did I? I question, getting to my feet. You just screamed for your own amusement. Maybe. Maybe not, he teases, taking a seat on the edge of the bed. I give him a questioning glare. So I see you found the door. Huh? I just now start to look at him. He is definitely the guy in the picture, and his face is not a disappointment. It's hard not to just melt looking at him. Whoa, you're hot. And your eyes. Oh, I could gaze at them for days. His smile and his soft lips are so inviting. I'd kiss him now, but he'd think I was a lunatic, and I'd probably get kicked out. Oh, but I can't help it. He's just so gorgeous. Thank you, God, for putting us under the same roof. And I know there's more to him than just looks. After all, he's already given me a present. The secret door. He points to the way I had entered. I'm assuming that's how you got in here. Oh, yes. Sorry about that. I apologize, slightly embarrassed. Don't be. If I saw a hidden door, I'd be curious too. I'm Mitch, by the way. He holds out his hand, and I shake it. An electric current passes through my body as we touch. I'm Heather. I grin. What's your last name, Heather? Mitch does quotation marks as he says my name. I have to be sure of your identity. Is he flirting? Winters. You're Summers, like your mom and dad? No. What? I'm Summers, like the season. I laugh. He's cute and funny? What's so funny? Mitch questions with all seriousness. If you hadn't been a Winters, I might have had to hurt that pretty little face of yours. Pretty? I blush as Mitch with hands in his pockets turns his head to the side and bites his lip. He is definitely flirting, and I can tell I'm going to have a wild ride with this southern hottie. Anyway, you must be hungry, he says, changing the subject. I'll take you out to dinner after I get out of the shower if you want. Sure, I smile, trying not to look too eager. I'm starving. Oh, I know you don't have a dresser in your room, so I cleared out two of my drawers for you, Mitch says, standing up. Thanks, but I don't have anything to put in them right now. What do you mean? You must have brought clothes with you. The airport misplaced my things, I say with a sigh. It may be a few days before they can track them down. The airline said they'd give me a call as soon as my things arrive. But for now, I just have what I'm wearing and an extra set of clothes I just happen to have in my carry-on bag. Well, you're going to need something to sleep in. You can borrow my clothes until you get yours. I know they'll be big, but it's better than wearing my short mother's clothes. He chuckles. I'm 5'9". Earlier I said 5'10", so I already have inconsistencies. I'm 5'9", and his mother is 5'3". None of her clothes would have fit me. Thanks. I'm sure they'll be fine, I nod. All right, well, I guess you can find some clothes while I'm in the shower, and make yourself at home. He starts to walk out of the room, but just as he walks out of the door, he turns back around, taps the inside panel of the doorway, and adds, Misuka is Sukasa. Mikasa is Sukasa. Before winking and going to the bathroom. As Mitch leaves, I fall back onto his bed and sigh with relief. I don't know all of the answers to my questions yet, but I'm glad that the family I'm going to be living with genuinely cares about me. With that thought, I slowly drift off. 20 minutes later, I wake up to the sound of a motorcycle going by and realize that any minute now, Mitch will be back. I quietly gather some clothes. Just as I'm about to leave, Mitch comes in the room, needless to say, in his towel. Hey, Mitch greets me with water running down his chiseled chest. If you took that long to pick out some clothes, you really are a girl, aren't you? No, I respond defensively, causing him to laugh hysterically. What? Oh, causing him to laugh hysterically. What? You're not a girl. Mitch continues to laugh. Sure fooled me. His stomach tightens when he laughs, revealing a deeper set of stomach muscles. How can he stand there so comfortably with a little towel wrapped around his waist and tucked in above his groin? It's hard for me to breathe just looking at him this way. No, I laugh. When he's laughing, laughter becomes contagious. He has such a wonderful smile. I don't know how anyone is able to say no to him about anything. I meant it didn't take me that long to pick out something to wear. I dozed off and woke up to some motorcycle going by. I tell him, pointing at his window. Oh, that was probably just Brian. My best friend Brian, he says assuredly. He doesn't seem to be bothered by the fact that I'm on his bed. He lives right down the street. I'll take you to meet him tomorrow if you want, he states, pulling out a drawer and revealing his back. Sure, I answer ecstatically. Maybe he'll even give me a ride, as if I'll be getting on a motorcycle. Well, I don't mean to be rude, but he looks down at himself in the towel. Oh, yes, you probably want to get changed, I interrupt, quickly getting up and blushing for the millionth time. See you in a bit, he calls out as I exit the room. Yes, I say. Wouldn't want to go anywhere with you in a towel. In reality, I wouldn't mind. He looks so good with his hair dripping wet, turning it a dark brown, bringing out his sapphire blue eyes. His torso is so firm, I'm tempted to touch it. I thought only people in movies could look like that. He isn't even cocky about his appearance, so I don't feel inferior, though I clearly am. He is perfect, and I am, well, me. Not ugly in the least, but not drop dead gorgeous like he is. How is it even possible to look so good? So that's chapter 4. Do you want me to read chapter 5? Just to make it even? I need to turn on a light though, because it's like really dark in here. So hold on. Oh. My hand has fallen asleep. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I still have my big box from where I assembled the chair out. All right, chapter 5, and then I think I'm going to end with chapter 5. So here we go. Mustang Sally. All right. I'm sitting in front of the TV watching the Food Network channel when Mitch comes down the stairs. Man, is he gorgeous. He's wearing an untucked black button-up shirt, dark jeans with a black leather belt, and black dress shoes. He's dressed for a fancy restaurant. I, on the other hand, am wearing blue jeans, a cute and flowy yellow tank top, and some flip-flops. He goes into the kitchen and tells his mom that he's taking me out to dinner. She's already cooking, so I hope she isn't offended. She isn't. She slips him a 20 and tells him to drive safely. He enters the living room with his hands in his pockets. Are you ready? He asks, grabbing his car keys. Ready as I'll ever be, I respond while turning off the TV. I get off the couch and walk with Mitch to his car. Which one's yours? There's his parents' minivan, an old Chevy truck, which is presumably his, and a Mustang that probably belongs to his neighbor. You see that red Mustang convertible with a black stripe down the middle? He asks, pointing to it. Yes, I respond. You have got to be kidding me. He's rich, or rather his parents are rich. He drives a Mustang convertible? He's extremely good looking, and yet he doesn't seem to be the least bit stuck up. Wow. That's it, Mitch replies, seemingly impressed by himself. I call her Sally. I laugh. You mean like the song Mustang Sally? Yeah, he smiles. My friends say it's cliche, but I like it. Kind of has a ring to it, you know? That it does, I agree, getting into the car. As we drive off toward the city, he asks me questions about living in Vegas and about my friends and family. You must hate that your mom didn't let you go to Washington to be with your grandfather, Moot says sympathetically. Well, I'm not mad at her. I just didn't have time to think. I mean, just yesterday I found out that my grandpa has a brain tumor. Then my mom informs me that she's going to Washington and I can't go with her. Then today I fly across the country to come live with a family I've never met. Don't get me wrong. I like you all, but being forced to leave everything behind, my apartment above the casino, my friends, and my life as I know it, was not exactly what I had planned on doing this summer. Mr. Summers. I don't know why I'm pouring my heart out to him. I haven't even spent 10 solid minutes with him yet. And yet, I can't seem to help myself. He's just so easy to talk to. It'll get better, Midge comforts. Let's hope so, because I don't think I can take any more bad news. Well, at least you'll have your clothes tomorrow, he says, cheering me up. I laugh. I know. I like your Superman t shirts and boxers, but it'll be nice to have my own clothes. You picked those Superman clothes? Mitch asked me, somewhat surprised. Yes, and? I question. What is this fascination with this about? Oh, nothing. It's just kind of funny because those are my favorite pair of PJs, he admits, biting his lip again and looking away. The way he said PJs was so boyish and cute that I can't help but to blush. I'm glad it's dark outside because there's no way I'd be able to conceal my blushing if it were still light out. I tease him, laughing. You dork. I'm being awfully forward, as if we're old time friends and I can mess with him whenever I want. But he doesn't take offense to it. He just laughs along with me. But I have to agree that Superman's the coolest superhero. I like Spider Man, but I'd much rather fly than shoot webs, I tell him. Personally, I'm kind of afraid of heights, Mitch reveals. This surprises me for some reason. I guess it's just because he's so perfect that I wouldn't expect him to be afraid of anything. I used to be when I was little, but living on the 53rd floor of a casino made me get over it pretty quickly. I guess that would do it, huh? Mitch agrees as we pull into Big Mama's Pizza and Karaoke parking lot. He turns off the ignition and takes the keys out. He then turns to me. Is this place all right with you? He asks seriously, and I know that if I say no, he'll turn around and find someplace else to eat. Yes, I was starting to worry I was underdressed, and was glad when you pulled in here. It's interesting. I've never seen a pizza place that also has karaoke. That's Big Mama's for you, Mitch points out. I figured you'd just want to kick back, relax, and have some good food. He opens his car door and gets out. I quickly follow behind, and he holds the door open for me. Thanks. Inside the place is a small stage with flashing neon lights, several booths, big screens to play video games on, and a ton of people. This is definitely the place to hang out. Well, how you doing, Mitch? Asked a nice older-looking black woman. Oh, I'm doing fine, Big Mama, Mitch tells her. So this is Big Mama. It's a little surprising to see her in her place and make the connection between the two. She's an older woman, and her place is the teenage hangout spot. I can only imagine what the place will look like during football season. I can see all of the cool kids in their football uniforms and cheerleading outfits discussing how their team won the big game. I can see the stern dad putting down his star quarterback son because he didn't catch the last pass and win the game 30-0. I love football, but I've always been in the band as a flag girl. I like being part of a team while still being able to shine as an individual without getting all sweaty and gross. I love being one with the music. It's so empowering. Unfortunately, I don't see myself doing it this year. I don't expect the summers to pay for me to be in the sports, and I don't want to burden Mitch with taking me to practices. I guess for now, I'll just have to be satisfied with the fact that this year I may have little or no social life. Surprisingly, I think I'll be okay with this. Besides, I don't want to get too attached to this place. The one good thing that comes out of this disaster thus far has been meeting Mitch and his family. I'll be sad to leave them, but glad to be getting back to getting but glad to be getting my life back. And your friends? Oh, and your friend? Asked Big Mama. Oh, I'm Heather. I'm staying with Mitch and his family while my mother's in Washington. Big Mama gives us a strange, questioning look. Well, in that case, nice to meet you, Big Mama says with a smile on her face. Likewise, Big Mama leads us to our table and we sit across from each other in a red booth. What would y'all like to eat? Asked Big Mama, pulling out her order booklet. Mitch turns to me. A couple of root beers and a pepperoni pizza sound good? Who's guessing favorites now? I say, surprised. Yet again, we have found something we have in common. Who knew Superman root beer and pepperoni pizza could bring Mitch and I closer together? Big Mama quickly comes back with our drinks and pizza. Thanks, I say, grabbing a piece of pizza as soon as it's placed on the table. You're welcome, sweetie. Big Mama smiles and then turns to Mitch. You better treat her right, you hear? Yes, Big Mama, Mitch responds. Big Mama leaves the table, and Mitch and I erupt in a fit of laughter. Gotta love her, huh? I guess so. Do you come here all the time? I bet he does, considering Big Mama's influence on him. Sammy, Brittany, Brian, and I come here, Mitch answers. I'm surprised they're not here now. Just as he finishes his sentence, we hear the roar of a motorcycle. Moments later, two guys and a girl walk inside. Speak of the devil, Mitch says, nodding his head toward the group. Hey guys, says one of the guys in the group of the other two. Look who's here. It's Mitch. And what's that? Do I see him with a chick? He questions in a somewhat joking tone, reminding me of my best friend Chad back home. Mitch and I look at each other and laugh again. The three people come up to the booth we're in. Mitch points out who is who as they approach. Sammy and Brian look like identical twins. Sammy looks a little more laid back and gentle. He has light brown hair that comes down to the back and flares out around his chin. His long bangs come down to his eyebrows. On some guys, it would look rugged and edgy. On him, it looks cute and innocent, like a puppy that digs out the trash, but you can't punish them because they're so cute. Brian, on the other hand, looks more dangerous and confident. He does ride a motorcycle after all. Brian and Sammy may be identical twins, but they are so different from one another. Brian has short, light brown hair and is wearing a black hat with sunglasses on top of his head. He looks like a NASCAR racer, but at the same time, he has a look in his dark brown eyes that makes you wonder if there is something much deeper to him than his outward appearance would suggest. Brian was the guy commenting about Mitch having me with him. Y'all mind if we join? Asked Brian, staring in my direction. Not at all, I respond. Mitch gets up to help Brian move two booths together, while Sammy and Brittany order some more drinks and pizzas. Brittany seems nice. She hasn't said anything yet, but sometimes you can know a person before you actually get to know them. She has dark shoulder-length hair, beautiful eyes, and a smile that lights up the room. She's probably one of those girls that everyone wants to hang out with, but she doesn't have a clue because she's so humble. I think her and Sammy make a great couple. Sammy and Brittany make their way back to the table with drinks and pizzas and take a seat. Hey guys, Mitch introduces. This is Heather. She's going to be living with me for a while. There's an awkward pause and a confused look like the one Big Mama had given us earlier. Do people seriously think I'm some random chick that decided to move in with some guy I hardly know? I didn't know you were going to have a foreign exchange student living with you, exclaims Brian. And a girl? How'd you swing that one? Well, Mitch begins to explain, but is interrupted by Sammy. If you're a friend of Mitch's, you're a friend of mine. My name's Sammy, and this is my girlfriend Brittany. Hi, Brittany says, leaning on the table. So, where'd you come from? France, Italy, Germany? No, just the US. They are all still confused. Like I was trying to say a minute ago, Heather's not a foreign exchange student, Mitch corrects. What? Brittany asks. Then why is she living with you? My grandpa's sick and my mom wanted to go stay with him. She didn't think it'd be a good idea for me to come along. Did you try to persuade her to let you? Sammy asked. Yes, but there was no point. She had already called Christy, who had graciously agreed to take me in. She had already purchased the plane tickets. This morning I got on a plane and here I am. I'm relieved to finally get the whole story out. Man, what a bummer, comments Brian. Yeah, I don't know what I'd do if I had to just pack up and leave, Sammy admits. Must be hard leaving all of your friends behind, Brittany comments. Did you have a boyfriend back home? No, most of the guys back home are too wrapped up in their own lives to care about anyone else's. Mitch smiles at my comment. Well, you know what I'm thinking, Brian asks. What? We all reply. Swimming at the Greek, all of us this weekend. Bet you never did that in Vegas, assumes Brian. No, but I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to using the restroom, says Brittany. What? We all laugh. Sammy stands up and lets her out, and she starts eyeing me. It reminds me of the look Cassie always gives me when she wants to talk to me alone. I miss Cassie already. It hasn't even been a full day, and already I'm beginning to think of my friends as a thing of the past. I don't want to think of them that way. I just don't want to think of not being able to see them for a long time. Brittany's stare persists, so I get up and follow her to the restroom. The funny thing is that I actually need to go. Remind me again when it became cool to talk to people while you're on the toilet? So, I'm guessing you want to tell me something? Am I right? I ask, leaning against the sink. Well, I thought it would be fun if we did something together, says Brittany, applying a fresh coat of lipstick. I mean, you might be here for a while, so I thought you might want to do something fun. Make a memory. It's ironic that you say that because Mitch gave me a picture frame with no picture in it and told me to make new memories. I feel so lucky, and I love revealing this little detail to Brittany. He really is a sweetheart. Not everyone knows it. I mean, our little group knows, but people at school don't. They all think he's nice, but they just don't have a clue. She puts her tube of lipstick back into her purse and leans against the sink beside me. Why don't they? I take I take it that he's a lot shyer than he seems. Well, Mitch is kind of the private type. I mean, everyone likes him and he's friends with like the whole school, but he only really shows himself to us. That's another thing. He already seems to be opening up to you. He must really like you. She says this like it's a for sure thing, and she's excited about it. He doesn't even know me. I want to be true. I want it to be true, but don't want her to think I'm conceited. But that's just how he is. Either he likes you right off the bat or he doesn't. He's a very good judge of character. So he's just like me? Great. I'm being judged. Uh, What's the prize? Brittany laughs at my comment. Don't worry, he likes you. I promise. One of the girls comes out of the stall and proceeds to wash her hands a few sinks over. She turns her head away from us so that it doesn't look like she's eavesdropping. But she's washing her hands entirely too slow not to be listening. Does everyone like Mitch, or are they all just nosy? Okay, all of this Mitch talk has gotten me nervous. So, what memory making event do you have in mind? Oh, nothing, just karaoke, she says enthusiastically. And I have the perfect song. I think of Mitch in his car and can't. And I have the perfect song. I think of Mitch in his car and can't resist. The DJ announces our names, and I turn to look at Mitch and smile. This one's for you. It's so easy to flirt with him. I mean, there's just something about him that comforts me. His eyes are just so welcoming, his mind so considerate and thoughtful, his body so sexy. I just can't help myself. Usually I'd feel uncomfortable, not self-conscious, but shy and vulnerable around guys like him. He's different though. There's just something about him that makes me want to be carefree and brave. We make it to the stage, and the song starts to play. I sing the main part, and Brittany joins in on the chorus and sings back up. My loud, boisterous voice fills the room, and the people all turn and join in. It's like being a rock star in this little old town. The boys are messing with Mitch. Mitch's face is turning red. We finish the song and join the boys back at the table. Wow, Brian compliments. You've really got a voice, don't you? Learn that in Vegas? I guess you could say that. I think of Chad and all of the times we snuck out to bars just so I could sing. Brian kind of reminds me of Chad a little. And Brittany, Sammy adds, you really do know how to put a smile on my face. I turn to Mitch, who is still silent. My expression drops a little. Have I embarrassed him in some way? I didn't want to do that. Everyone knows this car's name is Mustang Sally. I just thought it would be funny to sing the song to him. I didn't think he'd feel like I betrayed him somehow by exposing him to, in some way, to the jokes that came from Brian and Sammy. Then he smiles, and I'm relieved. Mustang Sally, Mitch says, biting his lip. That's the best you could come up with? He laughs. Are you saying you hated it? I question. No, why would you think that? I was just taken completely by surprise. I had no idea that you could sing like that. You are just a mystery I'm trying to figure out. Like a little puzzle, except I only get one piece at a time. The wait in between every piece just makes me want the next one even more. The guys start to look at him like they're confused. Brittany looks at Sammy with an expression that says, why don't you talk to me like that? Mitch is still looking at me when he notices the others' expressions and gets a little shy look as he stops talking. His words have made me blush. He smiles, takes in a deep breath, and turns to the others, a little embarrassed, hoping to change the subject. So, guys, I think it's time for Heather and I to go home. Oh, I bet you do, comments Brian, eyeing him like he's insinuating that Mitch wants to take me home and sleep with me. Mitch punches him in the arm. You better watch it, Brian, Mitch says, firmly as I yawn and laugh. I think Mitch is right. I need to get home and sleep. I get up from the booth. Okay, see you tomorrow, says Brittany as Sammy puts his arm around her shoulders. You can count on it, I add. Nice meeting you all. I had a great time. Bye, they say as Mitch drops a 20 on the table. Mitch and I go to the car and drive home with the top down. No music, no talking, just the air flowing through our hair and across our skin. It's a little chilly, so Mitch offers me his jacket. I drape it over me and rest my head on the seat. His jacket has the smell of a man, strong and rugged, but comforting, not like the smell of a dad, but similar, that of a different kind of love. On this night, I have become part of this tightly knit group, and Mitch, though he doesn't know it, has become a part of me. Once we arrive at the house, I change into my PJs, stick the dirty ones in the laundry basket, and Christy graciously washes them for me. Then I go upstairs. Good night, Mitch calls out as I pass his room. I step inside his doorway. Looking good, Supergirl. Hey, I just wanted to say thanks for tonight. I had a lot of fun, and it's all because of you. So thank you. Anytime, Supergirl. Anytime, he says, smiling. Now go get some beauty sleep. We've got a long day tomorrow. As if today wasn't long enough, I yawn. Good night, Mitch. See you in the morning. Then I go to my room and barely manage to get in the sheets before I pass out like a rock. So there you go. There's the first 5 chapters. If that is only 9% of the book. 9%. Oh my gosh. 9%. And it took almost I probably talked for 20 minutes before we started. So 9%. And it took over an hour to read that. So, and apparently I got 17 messages from my friends. So no idea what they're saying. But yes, please let me know what you think about that. Should I rewrite it and publish it as a current book? It only gets better. But yeah, that was my first book that I published, and my first book that I finished as well. So you got a pretty good representation of what my writing style was at the time. There's definitely things to improve, but at the same time, story-wise, I think it's there. I really don't think much needs to be tweaked story-wise. It's more so the writing style has grown in a technical sense a lot since I wrote that. But it's not bad. I thought it was going to be really, really bad, but it was not nearly as bad as I was expecting. Maybe further along in the book, it is. It's very cringy. If you read it out of context, it's very, very cringy. There's still definitely parts where I'm just you're not seriously crying again. And just the insta-lovey stuff, yeah, it's very insta-lovey. So I don't know. I just want y'all's opinion. I have lots of books to write, so it's not like I'm starving for book ideas and have to revive this story. But I just remember that when it was out, the people that read it really, really loved it. So I feel kind of bad that they never got the whole story that I had in my head. They only got the first book. So granted, it was a very large book, but it ends on a cliffhanger. I'm evil. It ended on a cliffhanger. So yeah, I really just want to know what y'all think, because I could totally write that story. And when I do, I might. I mean, it's very clear that she's attracted to him right off the bat, and I think that that's natural. So I don't know how I would necessarily tone down. I don't know how much I would tone it down, because, I mean, if I think about being 16 years old, I would be melodramatic, and a teenager. You're hot guy. So I don't know. Yeah, because technically, when you think about it, yes, the book came out in 2012, but the first several chapters I actually wrote when I was 13 years old. So that's why they're so melodramatic. And then as an adult, Like, I would fix it up a little bit, but it's still very melodramatic because I was 23, so I was still like a teenage brain at 23. Um, yeah. But also, I noticed I put a lot more description in there than I do when I write now, so I can actually learn from old me, um, but not using a bunch of adverbs and like clever dialogue tags instead of just saying she said or he said. I kept using like different dialogue tags because I thought that that's what you're supposed to do. And then there's also several parts where I would kind of like clue you into something, and then I would like in the dialogue tag, and then I would state it again. So it was kind of like repetitive. So I feel like if I were to revise this, the word count for the chapters that have already been written would be significantly reduced. Um, yeah. So my husband's coming in here. I have not eaten anything, and it's 8 o'clock. So I probably need to end this and go eat dinner. He's staring at me like a creeper. Creeper. Why are you being creepy? Why are you being creepy, honey? Oh my gosh. That's just the closet. That's not the door. There's a door over here that you can't. He did it again. Why are you poking? He pokes his head in, but he doesn't poke his whole head in. So, like, imagine that this is the door frame. All right. And so he was like opening it just a little bit and like poking an eyeball in. And then he would go back and then he would poke an eyeball in. Weirdo. But yes, I need your comments. I need your comments to tell me what to do. If you want to stay anonymous, but give me the feedback. If you want me to republish it and just make it better, but republish it, then give me a thumbs up. That won't leave your name or anything. If you want to anonymously give me, if you're like, nah, lost cause. Anyway, I'm going to end this now. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in a later video.